Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Now, this is our first video on this channel, and before I start, if you'd like to support us, please consider subscribing. Now, in today's video, we're going to dive into one of the most debated topics in Christian history. Papal supremacy. Now, as an Eastern Orthodox Christian, I'm here to explain why we don't accept the Pope having universal authority over the entire church. We're going to look at what the early church really believed, what the Bible says, and how the first 7 ecumenical councils understood church leadership. If you've ever wondered why the Eastern Orthodox Church doesn't follow the papacy, stay tuned because we're going to break it down for you. Now, let's get started.
Catholics often point out verse 16, verse 18, where Jesus says to Peter, quoted, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." As proof of this, Jesus made Peter the first pope, giving him supreme authority. But here's the thing. If we look into the context of this passage, it doesn't really support that idea. First off, in Matthew 18, verse 18, Jesus says the same thing to the other apostles, not just Peter. He tells them, quoted, "Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." That's not a solo mission for Peter, it's a command for the apostles. So if Jesus was giving Peter this special role over everyone, why would he say the same thing to the apostles? The early church didn't think of Peter as some supreme leader over all Christians. It was always a shared responsibility for the other apostles, which comes from bishops and patriarchs. When we look into the decisions made by the first ecumenical councils, which are the Orthodox regards as authority, we see that they consistently rejected the idea of a single papacy, or a papal supremacy. Let's consider several key ecumenical councils. Number 1, Council of Nicaea, which lasted in the year 325 AD. Council of Constantinople, which lasted in 31 AD. Council of Euphatius in 431, Council of Chalcedon in 451, and the Council of Florence in 1439. So, let's get to it. The Orthodox Church acknowledges that the Bishop of Rome had a prominent position in the early church. Rome, as the capital of the Roman Empire, naturally became an influential center of Christianity. However, the influence of the Bishop of Rome was always the first among equals, as recognized in the early church centuries of Christianity, rather than having supreme authority over the entire church. In the early centuries, the primacy of honor given to the Bishop of Rome was acknowledged because of the historical significance of the city. Rome was the place of the city where both St. Peter and St. Paul were martyred. Though the council took place in Nicaea, modern-day Turkey, no special place of supremacy was given to the Bishop of Rome over any other bishops. The council called for the structure where all bishops had a role in doctrinal decisions, and no single bishop, whether from Rome or any other city, was given universal authority.
Now, the doctrine of papal infallibility, formally declared that in 1870 at the First Vatican Council, asserts that the Pope cannot err when speaking ex cathedra on faith and morals. Now, this concept is entirely foreign to the early church. No ecumenical councils or church father ever articulated such a notion. Even Saint Gregory the Great, a Pope of Rome in the 6th century, rejected the title of universal bishop, stating, "Whoever calls himself or desired to be called the universal priest is the elation, the precursor of the Antichrist," which is in Epistles, Book 7, Letter 33. This humility and recognition of collegiality stand in stark contrast to the later developments in the papacy. Canon 6 of the First Ecumenical Council explicitly states that the Bishop of Rome holds jurisdiction similar to that of other major cities, such as Alexandria and Antioch, without any implication of supremacy. Saint Cyprian of Carthage, a 3rd century bishop, underscores this in his treatise on the unity of the Church. "For neither does any of us set himself as a bishop of bishops, nor by tyrannical terror does any compel his colleagues to necessarily of obedience." This directly contradicts the later claims of papal authority. St. John Chrysostom clarifies this in his commentary on Matthew. "Upon this rock, that is, on the faith of his confession, here he shows Peter's great faith, so that no one could imagine that he builds his church upon Peter, but upon the family which Peter confessed." Homily 54 on Matthew. This interpretation aligns with the other scriptures that emphasize Christ as the foundation of the church, such as 1 Corinthians 3:11. For no other foundation can anyone lay lay than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ.